Meet Charing Ball, an independent writer for the online publication MadameNoir.com. She is a feminist and an advocate of black women's issues. In late May 2014, Dr. Umar Johnson, a certified school psychologist and child therapist, announced an effort to raise $5 million by August 21st to acquire the historic St. Paul's College campus in Lawrenceville, Virginia. Dr. Umar plans to convert the now-defunct campus into the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy, or FDMG for short, the first ever African-centered private academy for young black boys in America. The effort has gotten an overwhelming positive response from the black community all across America. Unfortunately, not all of the feedback for the FDMG project was positive. On June 24th, Charing Ball penned a hit piece against Dr. Umar and his FDMG school. The article was entitled, "Why It's Not a Good Idea to Support Dr. Umar Johnson's Bid to Start an All-Black Boys Academy." Ball's article states absolutely no concrete evidence or facts whatsoever of why Dr. Umar is such a shady character that people should supposedly not support. Instead, Ball cites a bunch of opinions and rhetoric about Dr. Umar, as well as a few out-of-context quotes, all stating his personal opinions against feminism and homosexuality as reasons why he is a terrible person and people should not support him or his plans to build a school for black children. There's even a part in the article where she even admits she is writing her article based on complete and utter assumptions. Ball starts off her article scoffing at Dr. Umar Johnson as a crazy conspiracy theorist for correctly stating in a YouTube interview that homosexuality was regarded as a mental disorder by the American Psychiatric Association in their Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, until 1973. According to Ball, the field of psychology also diagnosed people with drapetomania, a pseudoscientific stance created by the racist physician Samuel A. Cartwright in 1851 to attribute enslaved blacks running away from their masters as a mental disorder. Yet Ball does not cite any evidence that the DSM ever included drapetomania as a disorder. Moreover, there was no DSM at the time. In fact, one has to wonder why Ball even brought that up at all. Not only is it completely irrelevant to the discussion, but it almost sounds as if she's trying to tell people not to listen to certified psychologists. So who's got the crazy conspiracy theories now? Ball then goes on to quote another interview Dr. Umar did, in which he states the Rockefeller World Population Council and Planned Parenthood International, the same Planned Parenthood that is giving black women abortions all across America, is also the same Planned Parenthood who has also contributed to the brainstorming and think tanking that went into using homosexuality as a population control strategy in the black community. After citing this quote, Ball goes on to question Dr. Umar's doctorates and suggest that his accreditation be pulled. It doesn't take much research to find that there actually is a population council started in 1952 by John D. Rockefeller III. And it also doesn't take much research to find that Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, did indeed receive funding from the Rockefeller family since the early 1920s when she was with the American Birth Control League. In fact, the Rockefeller Foundation still supports Planned Parenthood to this very day. That's not even considering the fact that Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, held views of white superiority, publicly stated that she wanted to enlist black churches to help keep the word from getting out that she wanted to reduce or exterminate the black population, and she even spoke at Ku Klux Klan women's rallies. You know, it's a good thing Charing Ball has no such accreditation to be pulled, because even a layman could have done such easy research before making such claims. And it's kind of funny that she would go on providing cover fire for an organization started by a known white supremacist. Charing Ball then goes on with bitterness over Dr. Umar's views that single mothers, nothing against them, might not be the best solution for raising young black boys. Now, if Umar feels that it's not good for women to become single mothers, perhaps it's good that he's starting an academy for young children? After a very low personal dig at Dr. Umar's two children, Charing Ball goes into a peculiar tangent about Dr. Umar's views on women's sex drives, even going so low as to make fun of his sexual abilities. I fail to see what exactly that has to do with educating children, but that's basically the gist of the article, excluding all the co-signing sycophants in the comments section. With so little facts and so much hatred and anger, one has to ask why Charing Ball has it out for Dr. Umar building a school for black boys. What business is it of hers to go out of her way to bring down his efforts? Why are Dr. Umar's personal views being made the focal point of conversation? Since when is any teacher screened for their personal views before being allowed to teach children? When has anyone ever seen Dr. Umar Johnson state that he would turn gay black boys away from being taught at his academy? After all the flack black men get in America for being dropouts, criminals, and deadbeat dads who don't build anything for the black community, here we have someone finally doing something positive and building something, and now this woman is looking for any reason to hate him. Can black men ever do anything right in black women's eyes? Perhaps we shouldn't blame black women at all. Perhaps we should take a closer look at Miss Charing Ball. On Ms. Ball's Twitter page, you see that she is not too far from your average black woman in America. She's very much into entertainment culture, gossip, music, and reality television. Therein lies the problem. At first glance, Ball's Twitter page looks no different than the Twitter page of a black 19-year-old girl. And yet, she wants to talk as if she knows better than a certified child psychologist? After she posts her article disrespecting Brother Umar, she responds to people tweeting negative responses to her article with vulgarity, swearing, insults, and name-calling. First, she starts off saying that the people disagreeing with her are working at McDonald's, suggesting that they're of low income. In the same tweet, she says they're performing an explicit sex act upon the white man. Such a positive role model for black children, right? Way better than Dr. Umar. From there, she taunts the dissenters as bitter black dudes. Then she makes fun of them, saying they just envy white men. It gets no better. Ball then gets personal, once again bringing people's family members into the discussion. She also does a retweet of someone who thinks Dr. Umar and others like him are self-hating black idiots with degenerate inferior teaching. Notice how people like that never say the same thing about white instructors despite their bad track record of educating black children. Later on, Ms. Ball tries to insinuate that she is helping young black boys by doing nothing. Yeah, that's so much better than what Dr. Umar is doing. If this is how Charing Ball and her friends think about black people who believe in the future of the black race, why should any of us listen to her? Is someone that immature, vulgar, and petty really qualified to make any decisions regarding the future of our young black children? Would she talk like that in front of an assembly hall full of children? Furthermore, what school is she building? And what efforts has she done to support the building of one? Yet she can try to get someone else shut down from building one. Over on Charing Ball's blog site, you can find Ms. Ball gushing over shopping for cute clothing on a budget. But what you also see is Ms. Ball promoting feminism. Funny thing about feminism, just about all of its major historical founding figures were white bigots. I already went into detail about Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood. Ironically enough, Susan B. Anthony was actually good friends with Dr. Umar's ancestor Frederick Douglass, up until black men gained the right to vote in America before women did. After that, Anthony delved into a series of racist writings, even arguing that educated white women would be better voters than ignorant black men. She even portrayed the vote of freedmen as threatening the safety of white women. She also began keeping company with noted racists and even accepted funding from one to start a newspaper. Then there's Gloria Steinem. In the 70s, when she was with Ms. Magazine, she helped promote a book written by a black feminist named Michelle Wallace titled Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman. The book was full of insults for our ancestors Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, calling them ugly and stupid for supporting and helping black men escape slavery. This book was one of the first instances of black revolutionaries being labeled as chauvinist macho pigs who supposedly oppressed black women and imposed patriarchy over them. This book also started a trend of books by other black feminist authors promoting hatred and distrust of black men. Gloria Steinem heavily promoted Michelle Wallace's book because she said it would define the future of black relationships. But then speculation came out that Black Macho might have actually been ghostwritten by Steinem herself, with Michelle Wallace's name used on the cover. Soon as that came out, Michelle Wallace suddenly and conveniently suffered a nervous breakdown and went into hiding. Black feminists like Charing never like to mention this. They would much rather support a pack of white supremacist racists than come together and help black men build. What's ironic is that Ball actually penned a blog entry on April 16th about television networks starting to market towards black women. I was watching Al Jazeera America the other day. They recently ran a segment on Friday, June 27th on Real Money with Ali Velshi about movie studios making blockbuster films geared towards female audiences, such as The Hunger Games. The mainstream media knows there's plenty of money to be made in women, pandering to their needs, showing them what they like, telling them what they like to hear. It's been happening for decades now. And sadly, a lot of that has included the fallout from Black Macho and Gloria Steinem. That's part of why black males are always portrayed so badly in the media. The internet has had to provide a voice to the voiceless, as black men, such as Dr. Umar, have had to go there to speak their side of the story, since the mainstream media seems to only want to hear from the women. It doesn't matter if they're dead wrong, just tell them what they like to hear to keep getting their money and their ratings. If they want to keep blaming all their problems on black men, help them out. That's how we got daytime television and shows like Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, and Wendy Williams. That's how we got women like Charing And that's also how we got sites like MadameNoir.com. If you take a look at Madame Noir, you'll see that it's a website geared towards black women. To paraphrase from their website's About section, Madame Noir is a sophisticatedly witty and opinionated lifestyle publication for the black woman who is okay with the fact that she enjoys guilty pleasures like reality TV, as much as rallying against injustices in the African American community. Interesting. You're against injustices in the black community, yet you're supporting the media controlled by the same people committing those injustices. Madame Noir is owned by an online media conglomerate called Moguldom Media Group, whose CEO is Jamarlin Martin, the founder of gossip site Bossip, which Moguldom also owns. Jamarlin Martin recently did an interview with OZY.com, which was published on Moguldom's website. On the article, which calls Martin digital media's hot new emperor, it specifically states that Moguldom and its subsidiary sites such as Hip Hop Wired, Bossip, and Latina Madre do not currently specialize in original in-depth analysis, opting instead to repost content from other outlets. With that being admitted, how can you take someone who works for this conglomerate seriously when she says the real enemy is black men like Dr. Umar for being misogynistic towards women and also being against gays, who make up less than 5% of the black population, but also make up the most HIV and AIDS infections throughout the country, according to the Center for Disease Control? You ever notice how gays and their supporters are always constantly compiling an enemies list? Anytime someone says anything they don't like, they immediately highlight that person and try to shame the rest of the world to not like them. These are the same militant tactics used by Hitler and the Nazis against the Jews in Germany. Funny enough, this isn't the first time the LGBT community has tried to silence Dr. Umar Johnson. My colleague and friend, the Black Authority, outlined in a brilliant video expose similar to this one back in January about how a Filipino newspaper journalist named Nicole Dungca wrote a hit piece article to stop a school in Oregon from having Dr. Umar do a lecture there, just because of Dr. Umar's opinions on homosexuality. You really gotta wonder why certain people have such a dedicated fixation on pushing homosexuality onto young children. The LGBT agenda and its supporters have had an all-out jihad against non-supporting black people ever since we came out in droves to uphold Proposition 8 in California, banning same-sex marriage. It wasn't the white conservatives responsible for this, it was black people. They never forgave us. It was war after that. Depending on who you listen to, you could see some gays using racial epithets, slurs, and other general hatred towards blacks. You even saw many of them bringing up slavery in the civil rights generation, citing that one oppressed group should not contribute to another group's oppression. This was done in a way to make black people look like hypocrites, and also to justify and okay racism and discrimination against us. The agenda was clear: either turn gay or support gays, or you're the enemy. So now you see black feminists like Charing doing the exact same thing. Ever since John D. Rockefeller III and his Population Council linked up with the feminist-backed Planned Parenthood, as Dr. Umar correctly pointed out, the homosexual agenda and the feminist agenda have both been in lockstep with each other. And they have both had a personal agenda against the black community. And they have both sent their agents of black descent as Trojan horses to infiltrate their agenda into our community. I'll let you decide. Should a black man's personal opinions, which have nothing whatsoever to do with children, stop him from being able to build a school to educate our black children? If not Dr. Umar, you got any better candidates right now? And since you're apparently not allowed to operate a school based on your opinions, what about the various teachers and educators in the public school system who might have opinions you don't agree with? Should parents pull their children out of their schools as well? With all these reports coming out about teachers molesting and sleeping with their students, isn't that more scary and repulsive than your child's teacher having views you don't agree with? Look, if you don't want to support Dr. Umar Johnson's FDMG Academy, you don't have to. It's your money. But don't go on the internet spreading all types of hatred and fear-mongering against it. Just opt out and let others make their own choice regarding the matter. Right now, Charing just looks messy. Furthermore, that's the exact same type of treatment we should expect from the white supremacist corporate establishment, not from one of our own people. But that's the thing. Charing has just shown you that she is not one of our people. To be going so hard against someone trying to build a future for our children, you're not one of us. We're dealing with someone who wants to continue building up for the white establishment instead of establishing something built, owned, and controlled by and for black African people. And that's perfectly your choice. But don't come thinking you get to speak for black people when it comes to the collective future of our children. You've just told us that you don't care about that. You would rather protect the future of homosexuals who cannot reproduce naturally, and bitter women who have a hateful agenda against men, as well as the white corporate establishment that funds them both. And that's your choice. Just stay out of our business from now on. Dr. Umar Johnson is a man on a mission, and anyone who truly cares about a black future should join him on this mission. Dig deep. Donate every dollar you possibly can. Let's get this done, because you never know if we may ever get another chance to get this right. Forget the haters. They're not building anything. They have no place in history except on the wrong side of it. Which side are you on?